Thank you so very much, Melanie. And hello to everyone who is on the call this morning. My name is Aisha Ally. I am the Local Engagement and Action Fund. That's Global Affairs Canada, the LEAF project. I am their communications specialist, and I will be your facilitator for today's workshop as well as tomorrow. So, as Melanie said, a few housekeeping matters. If you could please change your names to your actual name on the call so that we can take the register, we would be very appreciative. And in the meantime, in the chat, Melanie has asked a question about your expectations for the session today and also tomorrow. So we'd be grateful if you could respond to it. But more importantly, can you tell us your organization in the chat and the country that you're coming from? And we will get started immediately. I promise you, I will be talking to myself quite a bit because I noticed the cameras are off. And Melanie knows I absolutely love talking to myself, and I can do it for hours on end.
I think it's fair to ask them to turn on their cameras. If possible, it would be good for engagement.
Please and thank you. Wonderful. Everybody's looking so bright and excited this morning. I know I am. I hope you are too. So this session, all of the sessions that we do here at Leaf are quite interactive. So this is not one of your boring virtual meetings where you just hear me talk for 2 hours. This is a practical workshop because we want you to be able to build your capacity and take away practical skills that you can implement immediately. And I know I saw somebody had that expectation in the chat. So one of the things that you will hear me saying consistently is that communication is as much an art as it is a science. A lot of people think just because you have a phone or access to the internet that all of a sudden you can do communications. That is not true. However, what we are going to do today, we are not trying to make you into communication specialists or experts in just 2 hours. We are trying to help you communicate your work more clearly, more strategically, and more confidently. Now, as I'm presenting, it's going to be very difficult for me to see any questions or thoughts or comments in the chat. So I may have to lean on Melanie to assist me if there's something pertinent. So just also feel free to open your mic and give your contribution because this is an interactive session.
Alicia, sorry to interrupt you, but
Mhm.
myself or Amanda will support
Or
you.
Amanda, yes.
Amanda?
Thank you so
Amanda
much.
is also on the call. Thank you.
Teamwork.
Yeah.
So this first session that we're going to do, we have a session today and a session tomorrow. The session today will build on the session tomorrow. So I really do need you to engage with this session. So we're talking about understanding impact, results, and clear messaging in this section. All right, we're going to make you more strategic and also more confident in your communications. Now, a lot of your organizations are doing meaningful work, but when we are talking about it, we often talk about it in ways that are too technical or too vague or too activity heavy. So today we are sharpening those skills. All right. Now, in the chat, I want you in one word to tell me what is the hardest thing about communicating your work. Because a lot of times we don't understand that good work is not always communicated well. Activities that you do are not the same as your results or your impact. And if people cannot understand what your change is, you cannot get the support, you cannot get the amplification, and also the lessons, yes, but also the advocacy, your ability to learn and to pass on that knowledge to your demographic, to your audience. But more importantly, it also affects your credibility because you do want people to understand what it is you're saying. So if you could just tell me, what do you find hardest about communicating your work? So telling compelling stories about the project, that is often one of the hardest things to do. I do see that in the chat on the side in my second monitor. So if you do see me swiveling my head, it's because I have three monitors. I promise you, I only exhibit my crazy in my personal space. So you will not have to deal with it today. All right. So we're going to do quite a bit today. So I know you have your expectations for today. This is what we are going to deliver today. We are going to distinguish your outputs, your outcomes, and early impact. It is something that a lot of CSOs do struggle with. We're going to help you identify what is actually story worthy. So I know one of the concerns is being able to communicate in that storytelling sphere. We're also going to help you draft clearer public facing messages and begin a 1 page mini communications plan. Now, I need you to remember communication is as much an art as it is a science. So, when we're talking about drafting a comms plan, I understand how intimidating it can be. And we also recognize how understaffed the CSOs and the grantees are. And you may not have a dedicated communication resource person to be able to do this for you. So, what we are going to do is build your capacity so that you are able at least to put together the bare minimum to drive the impact and results of your project forward and make it very visible. And one of the things that we always have to do is ensure that you understand our core leaf communication requirements so that we are all on the same page. Now, I'm going to ask you to just take 2 minutes, grab your phones, scan the QR code. I am also going to drop in the chat the link to this form. I want you, again, this is anonymous, and this is more for our purposes in forming these capacity building workshops for you. We're using it to understand where you're starting. We're not using it to judge anybody. We want to be able to assist you as best as we can. And the only way we can assist you is to be able to understand what it is you need from us. So I'm going to drop the link to the Google form in the chat. So just take about 2 minutes, go through it, and fill it out for us, please, so we can understand where you are and what more we need to do to assist you as we put together these workshops, these capacity building workshops. And yes, I can see how many people respond because it's in real time, but I can't tell who's responding. So feel free to just go through it very quickly and submit your responses. Nancy, I did drop the link in the chat if you're not able to scan it. There's a wonderful thing about technology. That's why you always have to have a backup plan. If the QR code doesn't work, we drop the link in the chat. 2 responses have come through. We're up to 5. We're up to 8 and 9. So we'll give it just about a minute more. Okay, as the responses keep coming in, 13. All right, well done. So you can still keep filling it out as I move on. So many organizations, they communicate activities and not really change. And that's an important distinction. The activity is usually your output, what it is you did. So for example, you held community workshops. That is an activity. That is an output. Very often, that does not move your target audience, whether it is your community groups, whether it is your policymakers, your donors. That communication of that information is not as powerful as telling the outcome and change of what it is your intervention has facilitated. So, what has changed between the beginning of your intervention and the end of it? So, your outcome or change, for example, is if your participants left with a greater confidence to report violence and seek support. That is an outcome, that is a change, that is something that was not there before, which is why you crafted a particular intervention. You held the intervention, and this is the difference it has made to your audience, to your demographic, to your community. It is important to understand the distinction between the activity, which is the output, and the outcome. Because the outcome is where you get your impact and results. And that is more powerful to your audience than just saying, we had a training, we took people out to, I don't know, measure the soil erosion at a particular coastline. Those activities, while they are important, they are not the story that you use to drive the change, the advocacy, the lobby of what it is you are advocating for or the field in which you are working. So you do need to understand what that distinction is. Now, if you're not following me, please feel free to jump in the chat or open your mic and just let me know. So when we think about results, whether it is youth programming, community work, gender-based violence, climate, education, training, etc., you have to be able to quickly identify results. Now, a lot of what we are talking about here you will see some overlap with your project documents, with your project objective, etc. Usually, your communication objectives should be built into your project plan from the beginning. Communications is not something you focus on at the end of your project. Because remember, as I said, communication is as much an art as it is a science. Yes, you have all the creative things that go along with it, the videos and the flyers and the posters and the social media um, outputs. However, in order to craft the compelling stories for your outputs, you need to have been on the ball throughout the project, taking in your results and your impact, right? So, your output, what you delivered, for example, you delivered a workshop, that is your output. Your outcome would be what changed for the people you were targeting, or the institutions, or the practice. So, for example, if participants understood referral pathways better, that is an outcome. And you can measure the early impact, which is the wider effect of what may begin to change or begin to emerge, or what has you have already noticed the traction. So, for example, that would be if we're dealing with gender based violence, we say more women began accessing support safely. So that would be your early impact. And in your project brief, in your project document, as you are running your projects, you should have monitoring and evaluation mechanisms already built in place to see what your results are and what the early impact is of your intervention, so you can report it at in your end of project report that you submit to the donor, that you submit to whoever it is that you need to account to. If you're following me, give me a thumbs up. At least I can see that. Any thumbs up? Yay. Okay, Ronald. Good. All right. Awesome. Good. So now let's test what it is we know. So I've explained the outcome, I've explained the output and the early impact. So I want you to read each statement below and then decide whether it describes an output, an outcome, or an early impact. So this is where the chat needs to get active, right? So you have to put your answers in the chat and you have to say whether, sentence one, two, or three is an output or an outcome or an early impact. So the first sentence is, we trained 25 community volunteers on flood preparedness. So that's one. The second sentence is that volunteers now feel more confident and are helping their neighbors create emergency plans. That's two. Is it an output, outcome, or early impact? And then number three is, more families in the community are safer and better prepared before severe weather hits. So for each of the numbered sentences, one, two, or three, in the chat, let me know if it is an outcome, if it is an output, or if it is an early impact result. I'm monitoring the chat now. I'm in the chat. Yes, Nancy. I color coded it because I wanted to make sure, again, as a scientist myself, that we are able to make the visual connections between what is said and what is being taught. Thank you, Charlene, Gerald, Jamor, and Jovan. Now, do not judge me for mispronouncing your names. Please, I mispronounce my son's name all the time. He gets really irritated by it. All right, fantastic. So now we understand the difference between an output, an outcome, and early impact. Now we have to understand what it is we communicate. Do we communicate to our audience the output, the outcome, the early impact? How do we do that? Right? I know it's going to be difficult to hear, but not everything that you do is a story. Not every workshop, not every activity is a story that you need to put out to your audience. You have to be very discerning. A story is not simply something that has happened. A story, especially in development, is what has changed for who and in what way does it matter. So I want you to ask yourself, while picking a particular project that you have in mind, what kinds of change happen in your work that people outside of your project might actually care about? So think about it. So, not that you had a workshop, not that you had a cleanup activity, not that you had two PSAs on the television or on the radio, right? That is not the story. The story is what is the visible change that happened? What is the human consequence? What was the barrier that was overcome? What lesson was learned? And why should people care about it? A lot of times we are passionate about what we do. In development, everything is important. However, it is a bit unrealistic to expect everybody to care about the things that we care about or to be interested in the areas that we are working in. And that is why you have to be able to communicate well enough to share your passion with people so that you can gain that support that advances the position that you have, that your organization has, that you are championing. So, in thinking about what kinds of change happen in your work that people outside of your project would actually care about, I really do need you to jot it down, get a piece of paper, write it down. Think of a particular project that you have in mind. And I want you to keep that project in mind as we go through the rest of this workshop. I'm getting some kudos and name pronunciations. I'm so excited. All right, now that you have your project in mind, we are going to put together, we're going to draft a story worthy result. I want you to start by saying the most story worthy change in whichever project that you have in mind so far is what? So, what I need you to answer are the questions on the right side. Who experienced the change? Is it at risk youth? Is it the indigenous community? Is it, a specific demographic? So, who are the people who are experiencing the change? Then I need you to explain to me what the change is. Is it that they better understand how to access services? Are they more empowered? Is it that they are more financially stable? What exactly has changed between when you began the project and as the project has progressed? And why is it important, this change that you have articulated? Is it because it allows, women to be financially independent, to get out of abusive relationships, so you break the cycle of abuse? Is it that you are empowering young people to have a better future through TVET? Because I do see the TVET team from St. Lucia is on this call. You need to answer why it matters. And more importantly, what makes it real? What makes it real, not just to the participants, not just to the people you've targeted, but to the community, to your country, to that particular demographic that you are targeting? What makes it real? So I'm going to give you just a few minutes to draft your story worthy result. And then you're going to get the courage, just a few of you, just a few of you. I'm not going to take everybody because we have quite a large group. And we are going to hear about some of the fantastic work that you all are doing throughout the Caribbean and that we are so happy to support and be a part of. So if you do have any issues, any questions, let me know. We're just going to take a few minutes. One of the things that we want to ensure is that we give you the quick cheat sheets to produce quality information. And this right here is one of the cheat sheets. Now remember, we're not making this complicated. 4 sentences to answer the 4 questions. Who experienced the change? What changed? Why does it matter? And what makes it real? Can I get a thumbs up if anybody is done? See some thumbs upping. All right, fantastic. So I want to hear some stories. I want to hear some stories. Who is going to be the brave first victim to open their microphone and tell me a wonderful story about what it is their project is doing?
Raise your hand.
Huh?
All right, Armando, let's go.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay, a pleasant good morning to everyone, and greetings from Belize, the Orange Walk IETVET, who experienced the change on this apprenticeship program that we have embarked on. The ones that will be experiencing the change is the trainees and our very own institution. What has changed as we embark on this project? We are already seeing the change in the labor force. The industries are satisfied so far, and we want to make sure that that continues that way. And that is why the monitoring and evaluation and supervision has to be in place as planned. Why does it matter?
Okay, let me stick a pin in that. What about the labor force has changed?
Well, the
How
labor,
are the institutions satisfied?
okay, the institute, you're talking about our institution?
Well, you said the labor force has changed
Yeah,
and the institutions.
the labor force has changed because now they're getting better trained, more skilled professionals that are coming through the institution. And that
Mhm.
means that the labor that is being produced is of a higher quality. All right, so it is changing. What,
Yes.
why does it matter? It matters because in Belize, we need to upgrade the standards of the labor force. And there is a little saying that goes around saying that in Belize, we have too many Indians. We need more chiefs. And through this project, we want to ensure that we are producing many more chiefs, supervisors to empower much more the labor force. And eventually, what makes it real? What makes it real is that the employers are satisfied, the trainees are feeling good about the whole project, and we are already seeing entrepreneurship encouragement through the different trainees that they say that they're going to open their own businesses, and all of this is makes the whole project be a real one, whereby I know that it is a story worth telling, and that this is the first and it is many more to come.
Thank you, Armando. Now, don't go anywhere. I still, you see, now the thing about communication is we have to drill down,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
So, what is the importance of having a high quality labor force and a large entrepreneurship sector to the country of Belize? What is the importance?
Okay, the importance of having the labor force empowered is that it becomes an economic engine, in that the labor force, the industries do not have to spend more to train their employees. We certify them, we train them, and we send them to them. It is very little amount of training that they have to give to them to get them ready for their industries. And that is very economical right there. And then why is it that it is very beneficial for Belize? As I said before, we really need to step up. We really need to get in the competition, in the regional occupational standards, so that Belize is counted and Belize develops faster than it actually is. And TVET, technical and vocational education and training, is the foundation of every developed nation. So once we invest in that, Belize will zoom forward.
So you see, that is a story worth telling, because what I heard is your project is important to economic development and advancement. The trainees now are being part of a productive workforce, which is the engine that keeps the country running, yes, but it also enables them to improve their quality of life and the quality of life of people around them, the people who depend on them, the people who they contribute to. So you see, that is the human element of it, of the story. So when I like that when you talked about the project, right? You didn't focus just on all of the technical things that you needed to check the boxes for. It is that human element that we are really trying to nail down so that everybody on this call can tell more impactful stories. Thank you so much, Armando.
You're welcome.
All right, who's my next victim? You can either be volunteered or voluntold.
Hi everyone, this is Veronique Lamontagne Fleured here and Lisa Estrick from SLC TVET, St. Lucia. And just quickly, so some context of our program is called the Careers in the Baking Industry. It's also an apprenticeship program, and it's at various phases right now. We haven't started the training with the apprentices, but what we did before was train mentors who would more or less be, well, they'll be the mentors of the apprentices in the bakeries during their training. And what we did was train them first on how to be a mentor, short training, but also they're going to be assessed through the APL process, the assessment of prior learning process, for they themselves to also gain certification in bakery operations. So the apprentices will gain a certification, the CVQ in bakery operations level 1, and the mentors will be in level 2. So the most story-worthy change in our project so far is the assessment of these persons acting as the mentors, because that's the stage we're at right now. And when I did a short evaluation with them. I'm the monitoring and evaluation specialist, by the way, and Lisa is the project officer. And I did a short evaluation with them after that training. And one of the questions I asked was that, based on the statement, you'd rate 0 to 10 on now or in the future if you believe that the CVQ will be useful to you. And looking at the averages, it went from 8 to 9.5 when it came to now and in the future. And I think it matters because the mentors now, because they've been able to gain formal certification in a field that they've been in for a long time, 10 plus years, most of them. And now I think it's real because mentors now see that there's other avenues to progress in their field, because the CVQ is not just recognized in St. Lucia, but also in the Caribbean and other countries.
All right, thank you very much for that. So now I'm going to ask you questions. What is the importance of having qualified mentors to your project?
Well, of course, if you anybody who's being trained, they don't want to train with someone that's not able to train you properly or have the skill set. Well, yes, we know that they actually have the skill set because they've been in the field for a long time. But the CVQ will more or less solidify that for them, and it's kind of like a requirement that the mentors be certified a level up from the
Mm-hmm.
trainees, the apprentices.
You're still not answering my question.
What's the word?
Why is it important to have your mentors qualified and a level up from the trainees? So, yes, the trainees get a more qualified mentor, but how does that affect them? Think about it from a trainee perspective.
Well, I did mention that if that you would want to be trained by someone who has the skill.
Yes, but what does it do for you? Like, put yourself in the shoes of a trainee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I am you. I'm your mentor, right? And you are the trainee. And I've
Mm-hmm.
gone through my CVQs and now I am training you. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for your qualifications? What does that mean for your experience that you are going to have with that mentor?
Well, I think it would affect the quality of the training that you receive. So if you have someone who's skilled above you, in something that you're actually being skilled in, you could have the confidence that what they're doing is correct, that you know that they went for a standard that address them and their skills to make sure that they know what they're doing and they're in a position to do that for you.
So then it makes you, the trainee, feel more confident in the
Mm-hmm.
program that you are undertaking. So then, because you feel more confident, you're going to apply yourself a lot more because you have this qualified mentor, right?
Yes, that could be an option. Yes.
Right. Remember, we I need you to shift focus a little bit. Just shift the lens a little bit from more project oriented lens to a more
Mhm.
human focused lens, because that's the stories we want to tell about the impact. So now
Okay.
let's say I am motivated because I have this qualified mentor who has been working in the field for 10 plus years, because once you get to 10 years, you're an expert. You have the CVQ qualifications. I am motivated to finish my own TVET qualifications. What does that mean for me, my future, my ability to take care of my family, my bills, and what does that mean for my career moving forward?
Okay. Are you asking me? I mean, that could
Yes,
be
I'm
many
asking
different
you. I'm
things. So,
asking. So,
no, just my perspective as a M&E person, I usually let the information come to me and then I
uh-huh.
decipher from there. But I mean, that could be for that's the impact right there. Like persons could have a better standard of living. They feel more feel like they're adding to society a lot more. They feel more fulfilled, self actualization, all that.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's what we're doing. We're shifting the lens from more of a project money based, because that information is important. But you have to learn how to translate that project information
Okay.
into real time impact for people, because that's that. And I like what you did. You have the information, and everybody on this call has the information, right? But in order for you to get more funding, more support, more visibility for what it is you do, you have to be able to reach people on a human level, on a more relatable level. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Very good, St. Lucia TVET. Thank you very much. So we need one more person, one more organization. All right, Cami, let's go.
Hi everybody. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Well, hi. I'm Camille, and I'm from Belize, but we're from the SCFM, which is a child-friendly municipality unit here in San Ignacio and Santa Elena, with also the San Ignacio and Santa Elena Town Council. So, first question is, who experienced the change? Well, we're saying the young people in San Ignacio and Santa Elena, um, who are basically unsure or undocumented. And because of being undocumented, they're unsure about their future. And now through this program, they'll be able to find direction and pretty much confidence, and find their way, um, with their ideas that they had and onto the future. Um, what have changed, because of the way the program is set. Our first phrase is to get them documented. This would mean that they have a birth paper, they have a social security card, and they have an idea, of course. So what this program does is that it takes them from having not an identity to being able to have an identity, and not just an idea but an identity, and turn that into, you know gaining real skills and hands-on training, and of course leading them into a pathway into a job, or somehow they can get into the industry to help themselves and help them families, because not being documented means that you're open for risk to a lot of things, exploitations and so forth. So we know that a lot of times young people talk about here in Belize that when I don't have a social security, I have to take any job, and if they want to pay me $20 for the day, well then, they pay me $20 for the day and so forth. So being able to get them this would is moving them on. And why does this matter? One, it actually, you know, um, pretty much they're exercising their rights to an identity. It gives them purpose and hope, and of course, helping them support themselves, their families, and I guess I hope that they will feel proud of themselves and be able to go on into becoming someone in the future. What makes it real? I think I would say, well, we would say, we would be able to see the growth, in their work, their confidence. And like one of them said to us when they came to apply, I started this when I was 12, but a little job that he had from he was 12 years old because he needed to help his family. But this certification now, this program will help him to become, somebody in the hospitality field. Especially, he likes to cook. So he says, I never liked the work that I'm doing because that's not what I want to do. But because I need to support my family, that's what I did. But now this program will give me a way to actually complete my dreams and something that I wanted to do. So I guess that's what makes it real.
Brilliant. That is a wonderful story. And that is how you communicate impact and results. So I want you to keep that in mind as we move forward. Now, is everyone clear on this storytelling slide? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down so I know whether we need to spend more time on it. All right. I see lots of thumbs up. All right. Fantastic. So I hope you are getting an idea of how we are going to communicate your project results and impact, your outcomes. right? I'm very excited because we're going to have some fun between today and tomorrow. All right? Brilliant work, everyone. Now, uh, a lot of people don't know this, but I started off my career as a journalist. I worked in the media for quite some time. And one of the things that I learned is to always KIS, keep it simple. Because remember, as I said, communication is as much an art as it is a science. We tend to assume people's levels of language, people's levels of experience, people's levels of education when we communicate what it is we are doing in our projects and in our communities. But a lot of time, especially with technical jargon, it makes it very difficult for people to understand what it is you're saying and to buy into what it is you are doing. Communication is a two-way process. It is about the sender who is sending the message itself, and how people receive it. Until your intended recipient does not receive the message in the way that you intended, you have not communicated well. Public communication is not about dumbing things down. It is about making information as accessible to as many people, as many demographics as possible. So a lot of times on the left, we this is how we talk. We write it in project documents. This is how we write it in policy documents, in donor proposals. We say, yes, we've implemented targeted interventions. But if you're going to talk to Ma George by the market, who sells her tomatoes every Saturday, whose first language may not even be English, right? You have not communicated with her to tell her go and get her TVET certification in whatever area she's interested in. And I know sometimes when we simplify things, I guess it's more of an ego thing for us because we want people to know we have a wide vocabulary and we have all of our degrees and our gold stars. But we need to put that on aside. We need to simplify the language. So instead of saying implemented targeted interventions, we worked with young people in San Ignacio. We helped XYZ do it. We supported the town council in what it is they were doing. We made it easier for trainee bakers to get access to mentors. We enabled certain things to happen. Do not think of it, as I said, as dumbing down. You have to make your information accessible to as many people. So my golden rule is when you put your communications together, I want you to visualize an 8-year-old child and whether that 8-year-old child is going to understand what it is you are saying. Because if you are putting information out to the public and an 8-year-old child cannot understand, that means a large portion of the people you are trying to reach, you are not able to. So when you speak on television, when you speak on the radio, when you put out press releases, when you put out things on social media, when you put out a call for participants, when you trying to get people to attend town halls and workshops, etc., if they cannot understand the need for them to be at your intervention, then you have failed to communicate properly. You with me? Thumbs up if you're with me and you understand what I'm saying. If you have any concerns, now is the time. So that is why a lot of our organizations, we find that the support lags for what it is that we are doing. Because I will be very honest, yes, even the cabinet ministers who are sitting down and approving things, even the donors who have to approve your projects, when you start to get into convoluted ways of speaking and writing, your point gets lost. So always remember to KISS. Keep it simple. All right? Always keep it simple. So this is a very simple formula to help you have a very clear message. Now, we did it in the 2 previous slides, right? What has changed, for whom, and why it matters. So the initiative helped young women in rural communities. So we talked about the project. We talked about what it did. It helped young women. Where are these women located? In rural communities. What did we give them? Practical business skills and confidence. That's what we built, the capacity for practical business skills and confidence. Why does it matter? Because we are giving them a stronger chance to earn and to lead. One sentence, one powerful sentence that tells a story. And I want you to keep this in mind because a lot of times people think that when we are communicating results and impact, we need to dress it up, we need to put on makeup on it, we need to put on lipstick on the pig. You don't need to do all of that. In one sentence, you have communicated the importance of your project, who it is important to, where these people are located, and why it matters. So that's why I say simplicity is the key. And I want you to take, we will be sending you this presentation along with other resources as well. But for just for today's session and tomorrow's session, I want you to ensure you screenshot it, take a photo from your phone, screenshot this formula because we're going to need it as we move forward. I want you to understand and internalize the formula. So when you are writing your press releases, announcing your project has started or announcing that the project has closed, I want you to stick to this simple formula as you communicate your results, you communicate your impact, you communicate your outcome. So that way you have powerful information that people can easily digest. So if you need to ask for more funding, if you need to ask for more support, people are very clear in their mind why you are asking for it, what you are asking for, and why they need to be a part of your project or your intervention. One of the things that we ensure here at Global Affairs Canada LEAF is that when we support our grantees, it is not just for your project, it is sustainable support. So what we are giving you here now is not just relevant for the term of our grant funding. It is for beyond that as well. And you can apply it in different facets of your work and in different facets of your organizations. All right. So now, I like practical exercises. That's why I have built my programs like this. So we're going to turn project language into real messages. So I want you to work. I know, for example, St. Lucia TVET has two people on the call who are sitting right next to each other, so they can do group work. If you're by yourself, you could work on your own as well. All right. I want you to remember the project from our last exercise. What has changed? For example, St. Lucia TVET. I'm not picking on you. It's just that I remember the mentors and the baking trainees. So I want you to keep that project that you had in mind for the first exercise, right? I want you to take something that you would normally say in a report, a policy report, a project update report, and I want you to rewrite it. I want you to rewrite it with a particular person in mind, a busy human being. So somebody who is, I don't know, scrolling through social media while listening to the radio at work. So your message has to be very simple, very short, very pointed, right? So what we are going to do, remember, we are not going to be vague. We are not going to be technical. We're going to take one plain language message. So in the previous slide, when we spoke about technical jargon, so you implemented targeted interventions. I want you to simplify it. Simplify it. Just one audience-aware message. So if you want people to sign up for a workshop, if you are lobbying for mentors, if you want, a town hall, people to attend a town hall, whatever it is, one audience-aware message in a very simple language. All right? And then I want you to write a short line that works for public visibility. Public visibility could be your website, your social media, on the radio. Let's say you're doing a media interview and you say, hey, follow us on Facebook for updates, or head on over to Instagram to see the work that we've been doing, or visit our website, or donate to us. Whatever your call to action is, your visibility line, I want you to put that in. So 3 sentences is all I'm asking from you. 3 sentences. Are we clear? I think we're clear as mud. So I'm going to give you some time. I'm going to give you some time to put those 3 sentences in. How are we doing? Do we need more time? Are we done? If you're done, give me a thumbs up. If you need more time, give me a thumbs down. No, I see you, Armando. Armando's like, no, I need more time. All right, all right. I give you a minute and a half more. I promise you, you won't fail the exam. I'm going to give you like 30 more seconds. And for those of you who are shy and don't want to open your mic, you could always drop your contributions in the chat. So I'm looking forward to seeing the project language into real message in the chat. Please and thank you. All right. Time's up. Let me look forward and see what we have. Now, don't all of you rush forward to open your mic at once to give me the examples you've written. So who's it going to be? Who's going to be the first sacrificial lamb?
For what it's worth.
All right, let's go. The mic is open.
It's an open day. Well, if I was given a cheat sheet, I just kept this. I just have kept the same thing, implemented targeted intervention. And the second one, we have started the ball rolling for over 80 students with serious learning challenges to receive the assistance that can help them improve. And the visibility line, let's end the fear and shame of children who can't read.
Okay. So how did you change targeted intervention? You broke up a little bit, so I wasn't able to hear.
So we have started the ball rolling for over 80 students with serious learning challenges to receive the assistance that can help them improve.
Okay. So serious learning challenges. What are those?
Good. Yes. Reading way below grade level. Testing in the basic assessment, testing either a week or challenge and critical.
So you see, we built it out because when you say serious learning challenges, that is vague. Okay. Not everybody is able to understand what serious learning challenges mean. It could mean, they don't have lunch to go to school on a daily basis.
That's true.
It could mean they don't have shoes or uniforms to go to school. So you see, it's open to interpretation. That's why you have to be very specific when you talk about your project. Yes? Very well done. Thank you very much. And thank you for being the brave sacrificial lamb. All right. So let's see who's next. Oh, Veronique actually put something in the chat. So Deborah, give me 1 second. Veronique said, based on the analyzed data, it is evident that the interest in TVET-related areas is strong among school-age persons, yet many may not be aware of the pathways to training and requirements for certification. Under plain language, it says, many teenagers are interested in TVET occupations but are not aware of how to get trained and certified in their field of interest. And so number 3 she said, help. So number 3, the visibility line could be contact your local TVET office at, I don't know, put a social media handle, a telephone number, an email address. So because they're interested, let them contact somebody and find out, or they could follow you on socials to see the work that is being done in TVET, etc. Yeah, I do like that. So Deborah, over to you now.
Hi, everyone. Let me give a little background of our project. We are in the field of disability, under our project Bridge, which is building readiness through inclusive development, growth, and empowerment for our persons living with blindness and vision impairment. And that project is to equip young people living with blindness essential life skills, mentorship, and opportunities for personal development, including employment readiness. So part of our first activity was a workshop on personal safety and empowerment. The under my the line I chose from the previous ask, I had a line that says the structured in-person workshop with professional-led training, practical demonstrations, and interactive activities would have empowered the students. We focused on students of secondary school. So when I changed it, I said a face-to-face workshop where trained professionals guided students through real-life safety situations, showed them step by step and gave them time and a chance to practice through hands-on activity. I know it's a mouthful, but I'm learning. And on my number 3, I said real people, real guidance, real practice. Students learning how to stay safe and confident through hands-on training.
Well, that is brilliant, Deborah, because the first line was a mouthful. Like I can't even remember half of what you said for the first technical line. But I do on the second one, remember you said they got face-to-face training, step-by-step training. That stuck with me. So imagine I am busy trying to listen to you and pay attention. And I picked up on number 2 quicker than I picked up on number 1, right? And I do like your visibility line. You see, you are learning and you are excelling. All right, fantastic. Thank you, Deborah. Rion, I see your hand up.
Okay, so my original is implementing targeted assessment methods and adaptive teaching strategies to support children with learning difficulties, including over 80 children assessed in reading skills, while equipping more than 15 teachers and 15 parents with the tools and knowledge to improve literacy outcomes and reduce long-term risks associated with youth crime. All right.
Whew, okay,
No, that's quite heavy.
it is. It is.
So plain language, I actually had 2 alternatives for this, but I'll read the shorter one, which is we help children who struggle with learning to read and succeed by giving teachers and parents the tools to support them so they can stay on the right path. And then the final one was closing the gap in literacy, closing the path to crime.
All right. Now that was brilliant. The only thing I would ask you is what tools are you giving them? Because that was the only vague thing in your plain language. So what tools are you giving them? Are you giving them a hammer and a screwdriver?
Right. No. Well, it's basically we're giving the teachers and the parents lessons how
Mm-hmm.
to deal or adapt to children that have learning difficulties.
But you have to talk to me like I'm an 8-year-old.
Ah,
So you have to explain to me
so
what do you mean by tools. Remember, I'm like a 10-year-old. It's 8-year-old, 10-year-old. So tell me.
so we're just we're teaching teachers and parents how
Mm-hmm.
to deal with children that can't read.
There we go.
Or help. Yes.
That's it.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Uh,
Brilliantly
no.
done. You see, I think a lot of times we try to complicate things. Just bring it down. Remember, once you started thinking of me as like an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, you see how you simplified it quickly?
Yeah.
All right. Well done,
All right.
Riyadh. Okay, so then I
Thank you.
have one comment in the chat, and then Armando, I'm coming to you. So Wilder Gonzalez, I apologize. I apologize sincerely if I mispronounced your name. This initiative supported at-risk youth in southern Belize, helping them to use their culture as a strength to improve themselves and their families with access to business and vocational training, and made it easier for them to run their own businesses. So I'm guessing that would be number 2 in plain language. For more stories like this, follow our Facebook page or visit our website. Um, I always have a little bit of issue when you say at-risk youth. What makes them at risk, right? Using their culture as a strength to improve themselves. What does that mean? How do you mean they're using their culture to as a strength to improve themselves? Um, and I'm fine with the latter part of the sentence. So what we do is we try to be more specific. Remember, think of a 10-year-old and explaining to them what it is you are doing. Armando, over to you.
Okay, the original for the project is breaking barriers and an inclusive and sustainable apprenticeship training in AC and refrigeration and electrical installation. That's the original.
Okay.
For the plain language, we would say preparing AC and refrigeration and electrical installation apprentices with the Caribbean vocational qualifications to upgrade the Belizean labor force.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
then the visibility line would be for CVQ certification in AC and refrigeration and electrical installation, contact the Orange Walk IT web.
There we go. There we go. See? Was it what you looked? I was looking at Armando while he was working on his his sentences, and he looked like he was in exam mode. So what I wanted to say, I know sometimes it seems really difficult taking the technical project language and translating it, but once you have the cheat sheets and you understand just the foundation, you notice it's getting easier though, Armando, from
Yes,
when we started to
yes.
where we are now, because
Mhm.
you just have to shift focus just a little bit. Just a little bit. So thank you so much to our volunteers. Is everybody comfortable with this portion of our module? Thumbs up if you're comfortable, thumbs down if you need me to go over something. There we go. I see a lot of thumbs ups. Y'all are really good for my ego. Goodness. Feel so, expert like. All right. So we're going to move on. Now, as we move into this next section, right, I need you to understand that every donor, every government, every partner that you work with will have a particular standard, especially if you are collaborating with them. And it is important when you do your communications and your public visibility to understand what your responsibility is in acknowledging the people that you are collaborating with, right? Now, this is not a training on the Canada Leaf brand guide. You will be sent that if you haven't already. It is a document that you should go through. But what we are doing in this slide, I really want you to understand the minimum you need to carry forward responsibly in your communications and in your visibility. So, first of all, as grantees, you must acknowledge the Government of Canada and its support in all public facing communications. That means in your press releases, it means on your social media when you're talking about the project, it means in your videos. You have to ensure that our identity is used appropriately. So the leaf identity is covered in the brand guide. What our logo looks like, where is the logo supposed to be placed, where is the logo supposed to be placed in relation to other logos. All of that is important. And you do have to remember, in terms of standards, the Government of Canada does have requirements for public communications to ensure that it is respectful, it is clear, and it is consistent. So there are certain phrases that we use, there are certain ways that we talk about things, especially when it comes to vulnerable groups, especially when it comes to marginalized groups and indigenous persons. So you do have to familiarize yourself with that, so that in terms of the communications, that we do not have any misunderstandings or misrepresentations. And there are approval processes for certain public visibility items. So for videos and the approval for the videos and the approval of the press releases, etc. It is in the Leaf brand guide. So you would have to follow the approval and notification processes. So for example, if you need somebody from Canada Leaf to attend a press conference and speak, what is the minimum amount of days that you need to give us notice? What information do you need to provide us before we are able to attend the event, etc.? If you do want, let's say, a high commissioner or the head of corporation, depending on what your event is and the level at which you want us to operate. So I do encourage you, when we send around the Leaf brand guide, if you don't have it already, go through it. It's not a long document. It's a pretty document. I promise you there are lots of colors and pictures in there. So I really do need you to internalize it and do use it when you are moving forward with your public facing items. All right. So we are now going to get into our mini communications plan. So I'm hoping to complete this before our session ends in 40 minutes. Okay. So as I said earlier when I spoke in the introduction, I do know that communications, it does seem easy, but as you can see, as we've gone through this module, it is not as simple as a lot of, I guess, people assume it to be. And it can be complicated, especially for small organizations who do not have dedicated communications personnel. However, I want you to be able to be familiar with putting together certain basic communication needs for yourself and for your organization, so that what you are doing, the important work that you are doing, finds its way out there to the people that you want to understand what it is you're doing, to get the support, whether it's through government, policymakers, donors, or the community, so that you are able to fulfill your mission in your organization. I want you to understand, though, that this is not a full communications plan. This is not a full communication strategy. A communications plan is very much different to a communication strategy, right? A strategy is an overarching document that guides your mission, your vision, your values. It's a 5 to 10-year document. It is very heavily researched and involved. However, a communication plan supports the strategy. You can have more than one communication plan for your project. You can have an overarching one. You can have a communication plan for a specific project activity within your project. It does not need to cover your entire project. Okay? I want you to not be intimidated by it. And I also do need feedback from you to understand where you need me to clarify certain things. So this is a lightweight planning tool to stop your communication from being an afterthought. So I know sometimes at the end of what it is we're doing, we're like, oh, we need photos, we need videos. Oh my goodness, we should have sent out a press release. We should have done this. We should have done that. This is to prevent the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Okay? So this is your mini communication plan template. And yes, you will get it as a resource document. But for now, if you want to take a photo of it, that is also fine. So one of the things you need to start with, we have to understand, what results are we communicating? And we do tend to want to communicate everything all at once. So if we did 10 things, we want to put it all out there. What you do when you do that is that you water down your message. You water down the intention behind your communication. So if you are going to communicate something, focus on one result. One result per communication product. So if you're going to do a project video, an end of project video, Focus on one result, one impact. So if the people at Gales Point have now taken ownership of, coastal restoration and management for future generations, that is what we are focusing on. We are not focusing on everything else that is happening at Gales Point, Belize, in one particular video. All right? And I do know, because a lot of times we are stretched for time, we are stretched for resources, we are stretched for people. We are often tempted to put more than one result in each communication product. So if you're going to put up something, I don't know, put up a campaign on social media talking about the CVQs and its importance to improving the quality of Belize's labor force, we're talking about that and that alone. We're not talking about everything around it. Okay? So you first need to decide what result you are communicating. So think of the project that we started with at the beginning of the module, the one that we are still working on. So what result do you want to communicate? That is the first thing. Now, when you figure out what result you want to communicate, I need you to figure out who you want to talk to. Do you want to talk to the minister in charge of education so you can get his support? Do you want to talk to the full cabinet of ministers, your policymakers? Do you want to talk to Global Affairs Canada LEAF so that we can give you more funding for the next phase of the program? Do you need to talk to the young people who are coming up who may be interested in the activity that you are doing? Do you need to talk to the community? Who is your audience? Now, you can have more than one audience, but you must always have a primary target audience, because your message cannot reach everybody at once. Because again, you water down what it is you are doing. So figure out who needs to hear your result. So is it the people that you need to sign up for the CVQs? Is it the at-risk youth that you want to participate in your program? Is it the people with learning disabilities or learning, difficulties? Who is your primary audience that needs to hear the result you are communicating? Then you need to figure out what is the best format. Yes, I know we are tempted to use one thing for everything, but that's not how it works. If you are targeting your donors, perhaps a press release may be the best way. If you are talking to the community, perhaps a town hall meeting at a mother and father's group. If you are trying to reach the fishermen or the fisher folk, perhaps radio might be the best. If you are trying to reach young people, the Gen Alphas and the Gen Zs, you have to jump on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram. If you are talking to policymakers, perhaps a policy brief might be the best format, or a newsletter just to keep them updated with little snippets of information, little success stories. That may be the best format. So what is the best format for your audience? Where is your audience residing? Are they on social media? Are they radio people? Are they in radio land? Do they like to read blogs? Do they like short snippets of content, very visually appealing? So that is what I mean by what format fits the best for communicating your result to your audience. All right? And what is one communication moment that is coming up? Is there a particular international day that's being observed? Is your project or your organization doing something big, right? What is the event that's coming up? Let's say, for example, if there is, I don't know, a food festival coming up, that might be a great time for, say, Lucia TVET to put out information about becoming trained as a baker or signing up as a mentor. because we have the food industry represented. What are the moments that you can pick that can amplify your message, not just on a community scale, but on a wider scale? So now people start to connect the dots between what it is you are doing and your value to the wider society. Yes? Pick your moment. That is what number 4 is about, right? And number 5 is important. When you are picking your moment, and let's say there is a food festival coming up, it's coming up next week. It is coming up next week on the 12th of May, right? What approval or acknowledgement processes and needs do you need to go through? So if you want to put out a video about a project that is funded by Global Affairs Canada LEAF, right? How long do you need to give us to go through that video for it to go through approval processes on our end to get back to you? So you have to build that into your timeline. So given that the food festival is happening next week, you can't put together a video to put out now, because the approval processes and time will not allow you sufficient leeway to be able to put out your communication in your moment, in the time that you need to put it out. So this we are going to start with. Don't worry, we're going to build it up. This is our skeleton. This is our backbone that I'm showing you how we are going to build your mini communications plan. So I'm going to give you a few minutes now that I've gone through this lengthy explanation, right? Think of the project that you had in mind from the beginning of this module and fill it out. What results are you trying to communicate? Who is your audience? Who needs to hear that message about the result? And remember to keep it in plain and simple language, right? Pick your format. Where is your audience most likely residing? Okay? What is your moment? What is your moment that you can choose that will amplify your message, your result? And also consider what approval or acknowledgement needs and processes you need to go through and you need to give attention to. Okay? So I'm going to give you like another 3 or 4 minutes to get this done. We all understand me? Give me a thumbs up if you are following me, or give me a thumbs down if I have lost you somewhere along the way. Thank you. So comprehensive. All right, just a few moments. So 3 or 4 minutes. And again, it does not have to be perfect. Just jot it down, and we are refining it as we go along. Sorry. If you're having any difficulties, just open the mic or drop it in the chat, and I will be happy to support.
No?
Yes, I'm here. Any trouble? Audrey, can you hear me? I'm going to give you like a minute and a half more. This is just our planning stages. Again, it doesn't need to be perfect. All right. Are we ready to rumble? Where are my volunteers? My volunteers, I miss you. All right, Armando. And I just want to remind everybody, we're not communicating outputs. We're communicating outcomes and results. All right, Armando, over to you.
Yes. Okay, what results are we communicating? First of all, the apprenticeship project that we have is to train 20 apprentices in AC and refrigeration and electrical installation to eventually qualify with their Caribbean vocational certification at level 2. So what we want to communicate?
Is that the result?
No.
Okay, good.
The result that we want to communicate is CVQ certification in Belize. We're going to get it through one of our Caribbean neighbors, NTAs. So that is the result that we want.
Remember, the result for the CVQs is the improved labor force for police. That's the result we want to communicate. Yes.
I was going to mention that in the other part.
Oh, sorry. All right, let's go. Come.
Okay, so that is the main focus. CVQ. We're going full-fledged CVQ. That's the target, and that's what we want to sing that song.
Mm-hmm.
Who needs to hear it? the entire nation of Belize, but in particularly, we want the high school graduates and above, high school graduates, junior colleges, universities, everybody above, plus the employers and the industries, because they will now have better qualified personnel to hire. Okay, and that will improve the labor force of the country.
Mm-hmm.
What format fits best? I believe that social media, we're dealing with a lot of young people, and the TV audience. We will go to the TV to talk about the project and, to sensitize the entire nation about what is the outcome of this project. And what is one communication moment coming up? Well, we have, at the moment right now, we have no, that just completed the agriculture and trade show. But we have exports, business community exports that are coming up. We have one that has to do with the GIS expo that is going to happen in Belize. That would be a good time to try to promote the electrical and the AC and refrigeration programs. And also we have school career days, and I mean high schools and beyond, to go to them and to talk to them about the project. And what approval? Well, of course, we need to get the approval from LEAF Canada to give them the week notice for them to then give us the approval, proceed. We have to share with them what is our plan, what is the format and everything, and then get the approval and then proceed.
All right, that's brilliant. So you see, you planned. In that one moment, you have a full communications. That's the planning. We still have to put some meat on the skeleton. Well done, Armando. Thank you. I see Deborah has put in the chat. So I'll read Deborah's, and then Audrey, I'll come to you. So what results are we communicating? That visually impaired students gain practical personal safety skills and are better prepared to navigate everyday situations independently. That is the result being communicated. Who needs to hear it? Parents and families, educators, donors and partners, government and community stakeholders, and the wider public to support awareness and support for inclusion. As a lot of people, Deborah. What format fits the best? A mix of formats. A short social post for visibility, a press release for credibility, and photos with captions to show real engagement. That's actually pretty good. What is one communication moment coming up? Blindness Awareness Month activities and any follow-up events where the impact can be highlighted. Very good. What approval acknowledgement needs attention? Recognition of funders, LEAF, partner organizations, facilitators, and internal approval from SLBWA management before public release. Fantastic. Well done, Deborah. Audrey? Oh, where did Audrey go? Audrey?
I the what results we are communicating is that we had the first module for the training family counseling in Suriname that's funded by LEAF. Who needs to hear it? The Surinamese population, the Suriname. What format fits best? It's social media, Facebook. Most importantly, that's what most people use and what most of our followers use. What is one communication moment coming up? It is the end of the first module, the first part of the training. It's I think yes, the first module. Approval acknowledgement. It's with photos and this material. How do you call it? Yes, for graphic materials. So that's it.
All right, well done, Audrey. So let me go back to your results. So what do you hope to gain? What does your organization hope to gain from the Family Council module?
What we are training family counseling in Suriname. That's we had the training strengthening local systems to address violence against women, And during that training, there was an evaluation, and the caretakers and the people who give who help uh, who need to address violence against women, they stated that they needed more training, and they needed training in other in other areas than just addressing violence against women. And one of the uh, topics that came back was we don't have specialized family counseling in Suriname. In
Mhm.
Suriname,
So
we had
you so
yes,
the result is to provide support to
yes,
a preventative support.
preventative support.
There
Yes,
we go. So that is the result.
so
Not that you have the family counseling module, but that
yes.
is your result. Well done, Audrey. Thank you very much. All right, Renee, over to you.
Okay, so for the for what are the results? What results are we communicating? The literacy improvement in the 80 students testing positive, testing critical in literacy, right? We who needs to hear it? The parents and the general public, the community members. We have for what format fits best. We have here in Grenada a morning radio program which is listened to countrywide by everyone on mornings or throughout the day. Sometimes it replays throughout the day. And then we also have social media as well as another format that we can use. What is what is one communication moment coming up? So what we have is the starting of comprehensive assessments of community psychologists for the selected students in the school. So that way they would test the improvement of the students, and then based on the results they get, we can communicate that throughout the general public. The last one, what approval acknowledgement needs attention. We have Leaf Canada, the formatting and what methods or what should be broadcasted, what should be kept private.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much, Renee. So you see, this is a very simple cheat sheet on how you can plan for your communications, right? Now, we're going to move on to putting together your communication plan. So this is sort of the same plan that we had previously, but this is how you build out your communications plan more specifically. So you write down your result in the box. So you can actually take a photo of this. We will be sending it around. Your key result. So remember when you were planning, we were discussing what you thought your results were, the difference between the output and the outcome. Remember to focus on the outcome and the early impact, or what you hope the early impact will be through your um, intervention. Then you list your target audience now. So this is the box in which you will list your target audience. You would have done most of it. The best format, what will work for who. So if, for example, piggybacking on Renee's example, there's the morning radio show. Who is listening to that? It's listened to island-wide, countrywide, replayed throughout the day. So who is listening to that? Who will actually be reached by the social media posts? So then you build that out. The timing and opportunity. So when will it happen? Where will it happen? When will we share it? When will we put out this information? And the message angle. What is the main angle that you want to lead with? Which is your result. You go back to number one, your key result, right? What is the outcome, expected outcome? What is the expected early impact? What is happening in that space? And then you have your standards, your approval, etc. So this is the same slide as before, but we will be sending this to you, and this is how you will put your information into boxes. So you can print this multiple times for every communications plan that you will have. And again, I say you can have multiple communications plans for your one project. different project activities require different communications plans. And remember, you have to keep it clear, you have to keep it human, and you have to keep it focused on the change that matters. And that is what we are focused on for this module. All right. So I'm going to gloss over this, okay? Because you had it in the previous one. And this is how your communications plans will come together, by the way. Okay, so today I want to get some feedback from you. You know, we love feedback because communication is as much an art as it is a science. And so I want you in the chat, or you could open your microphone and just let us know what is the one thing that became clearer for you today, or the one thing that you want to improve in, or the one communication action that you can plan better for. The reason we're asking this is, again, because we're collecting data on how your reflections will help us turn your learning into action, and what we can do to better support you and your development and the development of your organization in the Caribbean, because our collective input is what moves us together and helps us advance as one people. So just open up your mic or type it in the chat, something. So Josette, there we go.
Hi, good morning from the Orange Walk IT Vet in Belize. I've been listening to your presentation, wonderful presentation. I love your energy. So our project is running for a little bit over a year. Do you suggest that we do multiple communication plans? Do you suggest that we do multiple media visits? What would be your suggestion for a year plus longer project?
Well, for a year plus, you need to have an overarching communication plan, right? So you have to, again, build in, you will have several smaller communications plans in that one big plan. So, what are your project activities that you have committed to? That is the first thing, right? What are the expected outcomes, not the outputs, not the workshops or onboarding technical consultants and those sorts of things. Those are your outputs, your outcomes. So you need to, in your communication plan, identify what your outcomes are, your expected outcomes and the early inputs, and then what activities are you doing around it. Who are you talking to? What are your communication opportunities? So all of those things can fit in. And if you find doing the one big communications plan is a little bit much, do several smaller ones. You know, and you can always work backwards. So you know you have your end of project communications, right? There are certain things that are expected at the end of the project. The end of project report about what it is you did, what have you done with the grant funding, what are the outcomes, etc. And then you work backwards from there. So if you know at the end of the project, you want to put together, I don't know, a nice little project video, or, you know, a collage of photos of the year of the project, then you say, okay, if I want a year of project photos, then since we are now starting, I need to start taking the photos or the videos from now. And how am I going to get those photos and videos? I don't want these posed photos like, hey, yay, look at me in front of a sign. You want people doing things. So what are the things? Are we going to have a workshop? Are we going to have, you know, media visits? What are we going to do? So then you can work backwards from there. You do not always need to work forward. Okay? So then you can do it like that. And then in each instance, you say, okay, if I need a particular photo from a workshop on capacity or whatnot, what else can I do with this workshop? Do I need to get people to sign up for another workshop? Do I need to put it out on social media? Do I need to put it in a content bank for our end of project activities? So that's how you work backwards from there.
All right. Thank you so much for your suggestion.
Not a problem. Anybody else? Okay, there we go. Carol?
Yes. One thing that was clear to me today, and I didn't speak much. I listened a lot. It was a lot to digest, I must say, but it was helpful. And I think we have a small unit. Our unit is not. It's just like we have 7 field staff, the field supervisor and myself, and the secretary and an office attendant. Well, in total, that's 12. However, um, I the fact that we need to break down stuff and do it as you just explained, piece by piece, and it became clearer to me, and we need to plan more recommunication so that we do communicate, but then we can do it in a better way. There's a way that we can do it to be more effective and that we would reach our different audiences, you know? So this became clearer to me today.
Thank you so much, Carol. I appreciate it. I'm happy that it was helpful. I
You're
know
welcome.
communication seems like such a big thing. It seems heavy. It seems complicated. It seems, why do we have to do this? But you are all doing such wonderful work, and you want to make sure that people know that you are doing this wonderful work. Yeah? And so, again, this is not to turn any of you into comm specialists. This is to give you the little cheat sheets that you need to be able to make your life easier. So, we're talking about making our life easier. And I know you all have very busy schedules, but I am going to have to give you homework for tomorrow, right? I want you. This is our end check. We're going to close. One of the things about our workshops here at Leaf, we start on time and we end on time because we do respect your time and we do not want to overburden you. So I want you to check in with yourself right now, and I want you to really reflect on how you understand outputs and outcomes, and identifying story-worthy results, and being able to draft those public-facing messages and start the simple communication plans, right? Your homework before the next session, because our next session is tomorrow, we're building on what we did today, right? I want you to identify one story worthy result as we have done today. I want you to refine it for tomorrow. I want you to draft 3 key messages, 3 things that you want people to know about your project and intervention. And I want you to identify, and you have the project document, so you do not need to make this up. One project sentence or paragraph or note that we're going to transform into the next session. All right? So this is going to be your homework for tomorrow. And it is important, and I'll explain why. If you could all just take a photo of this before I get it off the screen. Tomorrow's session is going to be interesting because, as I mentioned, communication, it's quite a lot. It is quite a lot to draft the press releases. Not everyone is a great writer. It is quite a lot to take the photographs. Not everybody is proficient in taking photos and videos or drafting messages or drafting policy documents, etc. But there are simple and easy ways to make your life easier. All right? And that is what we are going to get into tomorrow. So on that note, I do have a question because I'm on screen. Can somebody tell me where in the Caribbean my background is from? You could type it in the chat. You could open your mic. It's fine. Where in the Caribbean is this photo in the background from? Does it look like it's from Belize? Ben says it's from St. Lucia. Could it be Barbados? Cami said Barbados. Wow. Could it be from St. Vincent? Antigua? Jamaica? Armando is shaking his head. Nancy says St. Vincent. Right? If I tell you, I don't even know where it's from because AI created this background for me. So tomorrow, that is what we are going to get into, the ethics of AI, but also we are going to show you how to use AI to make your life easier for your communications portfolio, not just with graphics, but to help with your reports, to help with your, Rion is laughing. I don't know where it's from, but I am going to show you. And the thing is, when we talk about artificial intelligence, I need you to remember one thing, and it was discussed at the Leaf CSO conference in February, machine learning. machine learning is quite important to us in this day and age of technology. So I'm going to show you how to program the machine learning platforms and tools to make your life easier. So if you don't have a graphic designer on staff, it can help you. If you don't have a video editor on staff and you have a bunch of videos that you want to put together and you don't have the funding to hire a media house, we're going to go through all of that tomorrow. So I really do need you to do your homework, because when we come tomorrow, we have to power through this 2-hour session because it is a lot to put together and a lot for you to digest in 2 hours. All right? Thank you so very much, everyone. You have been fantastic today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. It is 3 minutes before our ending time. So I wanted to make sure you were all able to leave in enough time. Thank you so much for participating. And again, if you need any support from us, please feel free to email us. All right. You all take care, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you.